Hi there, how are you today? I want to show you how to make this little pumpkin stack using fall fabric. It's very simple, very easy. There's only one little bit of sewing to do on each pumpkin. You put a little bag of poly pellets in the bottom and then make those dents with some twine. And I'll show you how to make that little felt stem. So you'll need some fabric, you'll need some felt, you'll need some stuffing, needle and thread, and some twine. And a long needle. I'll put a picture in the description before we get started, but let's get started.
The supplies you will need going clockwise are scissors, twine, I like this by Hildy Joe, it's in a cream colored, 3 fabrics of your choice. This is a good scrap project. Embellishments if you choose, those little sunflowers, needle and thread, glue sticks, and a glue gun. Didn't show my glue gun, it's all gross. A long 8-inch needle, a piece of felt that is 6 inches by 1.5 inches wide. If you want that for the medium pumpkin, it's 7 inches by 1 3/4 inch wide and 8 inches by 2 inches wide for the large pumpkin. Let's cut out the first pumpkin, which will be the small pumpkin, using a 10-inch dinner plate. Just use an ink pen, trace around this dinner plate. The mark will not show. You can use a fabric pen if you choose. Then cut this out with your scissors. Then using this piece as a guide, place it on top of the next pumpkin or the next piece of fabric that you want to make the pumpkin out of. I'm using this gray and black plaid. I'm going 3 to 4 inches around this pumpkin pattern. I'm not going to measure, I'm just going to eyeball it 3 to 4 inches. Just use your scissors and just go 3 to 4 inches around. It won't take long. You might have an odd bump, and you can trim that off if you'd like. I just feel better having that little piece trimmed off. So now it's time to cut out the third pumpkin using your third piece of fabric. I am using yardage. I'm not using fat quarter. You can use a fat quarter for the little small and the medium, but you will need yardage for the large pumpkin. When you're finished, you will have a 10-inch diameter for the small, a 16 to 18 inch for the medium, and a 22 to 24 inch for the large. So keep that in mind when you're choosing your fabric. These do not have to be perfectly measured at all. It just does not matter in the shape of the pumpkin at all. So let's get started with the small pumpkin. We have all 3. Let's start with a small one. It's very simple. We take our needle and thread. We've already thread our needle with the thread, and we fold over the edge 1/4 inch and start taking long basting stitches. Very easy. Take these stitches back and forth, take 3 or 4 at a time, and then give your needle a pull. And you should have knotted the end of your thread so that it will stay there. Now just take a few more stitches. You're folding down that piece as you go, folding down the edge as you go. And you do this all the way around the edge till you get, and you're pulling and tightening, and you end up with this little sack looking thing. Now this next step is optional, but I like to put poly pellets in the bottom of my pumpkins. And I do that by using a not a piece, but a knee-high pantyhose. And I open it up and I stick poly pellets into that little pantyhose about the size of a plum. And those end up getting all over the house. You just can't help it. See, about the size of a plum. Now tie a knot in that pantyhose right above the little pile of poly pellets. You'll be tying 2 knots. This is the first knot. Tighten that down. Now your second knot, you're going to want to leave a little space in between the 2 knots. Just a little one, not real big. You can see the space right there. There we go. Now I'm going to use scissors and cut that. And then my pantyhose will be ready for the next bit of poly pellets that I will use. Put that in the bottom of the pumpkin. Now the stuffing and the making of the dents of the little pumpkin did not record well, so I'm going to jump forward to the medium pumpkin. This is the pumpkin that is 12 inches in diameter. We do the same thing, fold over the edge, 1/4 of an inch, and then just using needle and thread. The thread has a knot in the end, and just start taking basting stitches all the way around. You can see the knot there. I'm using orange thread because it doesn't matter what color the thread is. That really isn't important. It will not show. Okay, so we have our cute little sack again. We're going to put poly pellets in the pantyhose. The amount of poly pellets that I put in this one will be approximately the size of a tangerine or a clementine. And we use the same knot technique. Tie 2 knots and then cut between the knots. Place it in the center of the pumpkin. Then start adding stuffing around that poly pellet bag. But make sure you keep it in the middle and then make a dent. Push your finger down in there. Make a dent in that poly pellet. That is where your needle is going to go down through. You don't want stuffing over top of the pellet bag, and you want to make sure you've made a dent with your finger. Now close it up by pulling the basting threads. Now it's a little bit tight, but I think we can get that closed. Now once the hole is reasonably closed, start taking stitches across to close the hole. You may want to do it in a clockwise fashion of 12 and 6, and then go 12 and 3, 6 and 3, 6 and 9. You don't have to go straight across. You can just get the hole closed any way you can. The hole is pretty well closed, but I want to shape it a little bit. Make sure the poly pellet is in the center, and go ahead and take another knot or 2. Now how I make a knot is, let's shape it again. How I make a knot is put the needle into the fabric. Yeah, that'll make a nice dented pumpkin right there. I take my sewing needle into the fabric and I lift it up and I wrap my thread, not my yarn, around the needle several times and then pull tight, and then either take another stitch or clip it off. I have done that 3 or 4 times in the fast motion. So this is ready to make the dents. Let's get started on the dents. I'm excited. So using this cream colored Hildy Joe twine, take off about 1.5 yards to 2 yards of twine. Thread it through the eye of my 8-inch needle. If you don't have a large metal needle, you can use a small yarn needle that is metal and use needle nose pliers to help push that through. But we need to make 1 pass through, and I'm not going through the fabric up at the top. I'm wanting to find a little opening so that it will just go down through the center, down through that poly pellet bag, and out the bottom. And it comes out just fine. You could probably use crochet thread to do this. I haven't used regular twine. This is more of a smaller twine that I picked up at Joann's. All right, now I'm making my first dent. I've left a tail, and I'm going to tie a good size knot. However you choose to make a knot. I'm going to make a knot so that it is directly over the opening. I'm really working to make sure that's over the opening. All right, I have my first dent. Now I'm going to take the working tail, or the working end of my twine, and wrap around to the bottom. and pull to make that dent. Now I'm going to stick, once I get the dent looking the way I want it to be, I'm going to lift up that other piece of twine and put my needle underneath. I'm not catching fabric at all. I'm just going under the twine. And pull, get my dent the way I want it. And there I have a little bit of a tie. Now I'm going to go east and west. I'm going to go all the way around the pumpkin to the bottom again. And when the dents look how I want them to, I will use the same technique of going under the twine. I'm not catching fabric with that needle. I got this needle in an upholstery pack of needles at Walmart. There were several needles in the package. This is the smallest one. This is an 8-inch needle. All right, now I'm going to hank down on that. I might need to take another stitch, and you might need to take another loop around some of those to make sure it's really tight. Now I'm going to go north, south, east, and west again. There are four sets of dents, but it will look so much nicer if I take another set. Yes, I need to tighten that down. I'm going to take another stitch. I'm going to go under that twine again. I think it's wise to go under 2 of those. I think that will help that hole stay in place. There we go. Now we're going to go right between that set of dents, go across the top, and come right back to the bottom again. There we go. Pulling and making the dents, and then slipping the needle underneath a twine to make a bit of a knot. It's a bit of a flexible knot because it can move a little bit if you need it to. All right. I'm not happy with that. You just need to fuss and keep working with it. Now I'm going to turn and go all the way around the pumpkin again, keeping that tail out of the way. That tail is important, though. You will need that in just a moment. That is the last set of dents that we are going to make. We need to secure that by going underneath the twine, making sure it is secure. Now we are going to go down through the center of the pumpkin and come out the top. Now, when you're coming back out the top, if you're getting a lot of resistance, your needle may be hitting fabric. Just wiggle it around until you're not hitting fabric. You've hit an open spot, and it will come right back up through. Very easy, especially if you don't have stuffing over top of your poly pellet bag, and if you've made that dent in the poly pellet bag. All right, fairly easy. There you go. Pretty simple. Now we'll need to secure these up top. So tie them in a knot. Get that out of the way. I like to use a square knot. You may want to use a surgeon's knot. Square knot is right over left, left over right, and a surgeon's knot, I believe, is wrap the twine around twice and then hang down. Oh, and there's the little pumpkin on top of the medium pumpkin. That's really cute. I'll show you how to make a felt stem at the end. Let's get started on basting the opening and adding a poly pellet bag to the large one. The large one is probably about the size of a small apple. Same technique, stick it in the center and stuff your pumpkin. Now your pumpkin can be stuffed really hard or it can be stuffed fairly soft. If you're going to stuff it very hard, I recommend using crochet thread to make the basting stitches. I felt like that the thread may have broken if I had pulled too tight on it. But there we go. That one is done. All right. Let's make the dents. We'll do this all in fast speed. I really like the big pumpkins. All right, now let's make the stem. So we're only going to make one stem, and this is for the small pumpkin, but we fold that piece of felt in half. Then we take one end and we fold it to the center. Then take the opposite end and fold it to the center as well. They should meet in the center. Does not have to be perfect. And then start rolling. Just start rolling right there. Just roll it as tight as you can. Just roll and roll and roll and roll. There is a cut side and there is a folded side on this pumpkin. The cut side will be glued to the pumpkin. All right, so now there I have a tight roll. I'm going to put the glue a 1/4 of an inch in. I don't want the glue right at the edge, and then I'm going to gently push. I don't want a bunch of glue sticking up. And there's a little glob there. I'm going to wait till it cools a little bit, and then I'm just going to swoop it out of the way with my finger. Now let's let it cool. There we go. I got rid of that. I don't recommend that, but I got rid of that, and it's still trying to open up, so I'm going to sit there and hold that for a while. Once it is closed, you can glue that to the center of the pumpkin. Look how cute. Really cute. So how I glue that is glue the cut side down. Add the glue to the center. Not a ton of it, but enough that you know it's going to grab that stem. And place the cut side, not the folded side, down, the cut side. The folded side should be up. That's the pretty side of the stem. There we go. And we have made a small pumpkin with a small stem. And remember, the dimensions of the medium and the large size stem will be in the description, but doesn't that look nice? Now let's think about embellishing a little bit. You can embellish with anything that you have. You could put more twine in there. I'm going to use these little sunflowers. You could use silk flowers. You could use little leaves that you find around. I think that's really a cute treatment. I like my little fabric pumpkin stack.
Did you enjoy making your fabric pumpkins? They're very easy, aren't they? They're not as hard as they look. If you make them, I'd love for you to go to my group page on Facebook, Krissy's Over the Mountain Crochet and Crafts, and share some photos with me. Are you making these for a craft show? If you are, leave me a comment below. Tell me how often you attend craft shows and sell your items. I love making items and designing new things for craft shows. That makes me happy. It makes me happy to share those sort of designs and ideas with you. And it was good to have you on my side of the mountain. I hope you'll come again soon. Hit that like and subscribe button and share and tell others about the exciting things that are happening on my side of the mountain. I'll see you soon. Bye.